today's environment, where up to 70% of your buyers' buying decisions are being made before you even meet your buyer, how do you engage effectively to ensure that you are helping your buyer to navigate their journey in a way that clearly supports them, but also supports your selling objectives? Today we're going to talk about alignment of both marketing and sales at the macro level. How does an organisation align its marketing and selling processes overall? And then I'm going to give you the tools and the techniques to then deploy that at the individual level. What do you do to engage with individual opportunities, individual customers in a one-to-one selling environment? And I'm going to take you through the three things to plan, to execute, and then review each and every sales call effectively each and every time. Now, in Align.me's funnel logic, we talk about the aggregate journey of the buyer and the seller, and how buyers move through three very distinct phases. A stage where your buyers are untroubled and unaware. They move from being untroubled to troubled, from gap to a clear set of needs, to needs to then receiving a set of offers that meet those needs, to then making a preference decision and then contracting and engaging ultimately to solve the gap that business has. And in funnel logic, we work and we define the sets of marketing and selling tactics that align to that buyer's problem. We dimension the size of that those tactics need to be, and the quantum around which they need to be executed, and the order and the rhythm of that process. That's the aggregate process that we cover in funnel logic. And for those of you that have been through our planning process, funnel camp, that'll be common to you. But what about moving from the aggregate to the individual? How should you then engage around individual opportunities? What process should you put in place? At Align.me, in our funnel logic method, or with our funnel logic methodology and our funnel camp processes, we define the aggregate journey that you're trying to take buyers down through the mix of marketing and selling tactics. But when we look at individual opportunities, we draw from some of the outstanding work of sales leaders like Bob Miller and Stephen Heiman, and in particular the Miller Heiman Group sales system, which comes from our sales intellectual property partners, Miller Heiman Group. In the Miller Heiman Group sales system, the customer sits at the centre of that system. But then surrounding that are the individual subsystems around creation of opportunities, management of opportunities, and management of key customer relationships. Let's take a moment to just focus on one of those subsystems, creation of opportunities. What you need to do to plan effectively, to execute, and also then to review so that you improve that sub-process each and every time. Now, in the Miller Heiman Group sales system, we talk about creation of opportunities. And in particular, there's reference to a methodology called conceptual selling. And if you're part of the thousands of Miller Heiman Group alumni, you may well know the conceptual selling methodology that underpins creation of opportunities as part of the system. Let's take a moment to really dig under the covers of conceptual selling and the three core elements that make up superb communication and actually drive great client and sales outcomes. So what do you need to do? Well, first of all, you need to plan effectively. We know that in today's buyer-centric world, our buyers are more time challenged than ever before. The buying process is becoming more extended, and there are multiple buyers that you need to be engaging through that process to engage effectively. So planning is key. Making sure that you are engaging with the right buyers at the right time in a meaningful way. That means that you need to have a valid business reason if you're going to earn time in the diaries of very high influence stakeholders. Miller Heiman refer to them as buying influencers in these individual opportunities that you're attempting to prosecute. Have a valid business reason. That means that it is high priority in that individual buying influencer's mind. You also need to be planning in advance what you want to achieve. What is your sales objective? Because likewise, as a professional, you're the custodian of an organisation's selling resources, and you need to be managing those effectively. So we need to be clear in the buyer's mind, but also clear in your mind what you're trying to achieve. Before you even get in the room, you need to be thinking over the horizon. Where is that buyer today in their buying journey? Are they at the first stage where they're trying to get clarity around their gap? Have they moved further where they really are individually clear around their needs? Or are they at the third phase of their buying journey where they've got great clarity around problem and need, but they're actually looking to prioritise their solution? And in your planning processes, you need to be thinking about where is that buyer today and where do you want to take them in this next meeting, and be planning your questioning and information giving accordingly. Now, at the next stage, we need to execute with precision and perfection. And the Miller Heiman Green Sheet is a way that you can actually capture those planning notes such that you do that with great effect. What are the questions that you're going to ask in that meeting to ensure that you capture the right information, those insightful questions that add perspective to the customer's world? What are the different types of questions? What is the new information that you need to capture? How are the individuals in that opportunity feeling right now? What are the attitude questions that you're going to ask? And what is the action commitment? What are you going to seek at the end? And crafting that question is key. The other thing about superb communication is affording our buyers the time to think. How often have you been in meetings where you've perhaps asked one too many questions, not afforded that buyer really high quality thinking time, and as a result, you actually don't get the full answer to the question. I refer you to the concept of golden silence, and that means that you're asking a question, you're waiting three seconds until the buying influence answers, and then you're waiting another full 3 seconds to allow that person to expand. Go and practice that in your own environment and see the power that delivers to you in your meetings. Even practice it on conversation with your kids at home. It's amazing what you'll hear. Finally, in terms of that superb communication in the execution of the meeting, is all about differentiation. We are constantly being reviewed by our clients as to the value that we're bringing to the table versus the competing alternatives. And attaching those key things, those 1 or 2 key items that differentiate us from our competition, and almost making a practice of articulating that each and every time. That's the second piece of superb communication, which is all about awesome execution. Now let's move to the third phase of a powerful system, which is all about review. Great leaders know that whatever it was that got you where you are today is not sufficient to keep you there. And that's true in selling as well. So the way that we start to move and learn and evolve is that we review each of the elements of our sales execution. And review is a key part of the conceptual selling process. So reviewing in advance of your meeting with your key advisor. Miller Heiman sometimes use the term coach, making sure that your plan for that meeting is effective. Sitting down and then reviewing with your sales director, your sales manager, what you did well, where are the opportunities for improvement, such that you can execute even more effectively next time round. And then thirdly, being able to operationalise all those reviews formally, such that the system, in this case the conceptual selling green sheet, is actually integrated even within your CRM system, so that you're actually starting to take insights from the execution of your calls, and clearly being able to drive the tactics that you've identified, those key actions, as integrated through your CRM environment. So those three big things that we're doing to drive superb communication in our creation of opportunities: you need to plan effectively, you need to execute well, and clearly review is the third piece of the puzzle. Again, Miller Heiman talk about that as one element of a great system. Today we've talked about how you create opportunities effectively, leveraging conceptual selling. In future conversations we'll talk about managing opportunities, managing key customer relationships, and then the sort of architecture that needs to sit around that. So today we've covered funnel logic, which is the aggregate journey of buyers, and how sales and marketing align effectively at the aggregate level to move buyers through their journey. We've also referenced the Miller Heiman Group sales system and the first element of that, which is around creation of opportunities, and specifically the things that you do to plan your calls effectively, to execute with precision, and then to review each and every time such that you execute even more effectively on that next call. So where to next? Well, reach out and let's have a conversation around how we execute these processes within your business. How you actually drive even more effectiveness out of those precious time that you're engaging with buying influencers today. Reach out, let's have a conversation, and I'll call you personally to provide you some support around how you execute these processes within your business. Good selling, and may your funnel always be flowing.